I think because we have undercounted ourselves and underestimated ourselves, we've quite forgotten that we were never a minority. As 1 billion African people on the face of the earth, we can create industries overnight if we decided that we don't wear no underwear we don't make. We don't eat no food that don't come from one of our farms. We don't sleep on no mattresses we don't make. We don't bury our loved ones in any coffins we don't make. We take the coffin industry away from the mafia. We've forgotten our great potential as a people.
Good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever time it is where you're watching. Thank you for tapping in. This is Brian, HRap B. Williams. Thank you. This is a few minutes with HRap. Today is going to be an interesting program simply because it's things that I've spoken about in the past, but what it's truly about is this. There seems to be a lack of progress in the overall community. I've spoken about the information that we cheat ourselves out of because we're listening to people that don't have our best interest in mind. And today I'm gonna cover those issues, hopefully, and provide us with a potential solution. And again, as I say every day, if you see a flaw in my thought process, that's what the comment section is for. That's why we can continue to have a conversation. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm saying I'm offering an answer, and I'm hoping that you will engage with me in conversation so we can resolve a lot of these issues. The issues that we have is something that we can get past almost immediately if we work together. Unity is the key. Unity is the key. And that's the title of the program. Is called Let the Standard Be Our Standard. That is something I believe is our biggest problem. We don't allow the standard to be our standard. You know, whether that be in your home, whether it be in your community, whether it be in your city, whether it be in your county, whether it be in your state, whether it be whatever. We need to set the standard for us. And that's something I think we've forgotten how to do. We don't let our standard be the standard. We speak with other people's standards. We academically inclined to teach the way other standards are taught. And we're not doing what's best for us. And once we start doing what's best for us, all of a sudden, I believe life will get easier, because when life gets easier, we make things happen. And when we make things happen, we're unstoppable. Now, as I do every day, I want to thank my parents, Dolores and George. Dolores on one hand, George on the other hand, come together. They create me. I create the program. And hopefully I'm uplifting my people and giving you something to think about on a regular basis. So thank you. And as I say every day, I need you to hit that like, hit that share, tell a friend to tell a friend. And hopefully, if you can, go to www.thaendofdabench.com. That is www.thaendofdabench.com, the name of my network, and my dream come true in essence. Now, you go there and you watch the program, and you can share the program, and you can watch it on my website. And if you watch it on my website, you will also get one mic history via the orator, Country Boy. He gives great history information, and it is inspiring. It basically backs up what I'm talking about today. I don't play the video in its entirety. You can go there, or you can go to One Mic History on YouTube. I prefer that you go to www.thaendofdabench.com, because when you do that, you help me, and it's not taking anything away from Country Boy. Country Boy gets to watch. I get the assistance on my website. It continues to grow, and then we continue to move forward. I like to thank the new subscribers again. Thank you. Every time I come on here, I want to see a new subscriber. It is a wonderful situation to understand that what I'm saying is touching somebody, and I didn't look at my numbers today, but the last I checked, over the last 28 days, it's been a boatload of people and people throughout the world. So thank you for everything that you do. Again, let me go from the top. Letting the standard be the standard. Letting our standard be the standard. Our standard is the best standard in the history of the world. And you can say I'm being arrogant. You can say I'm being disregarding. But at the end of the day, when you look throughout the world, when you look in when you look in Mexico, and when you look in South America, and when you find out the true Grand Canyon is not really a canyon. It's a series of pyramids. And when you go to Bravo, Colorado, and you see carvings on the walls that look like the carvings from Giza and Egypt, and the pyramids. And when you go to Ghana, and when you go to Morocco and other places where pyramids were, you see that we touched the entire world. You have pyramids in China. You have pyramids in Southeast Asia. Southwest Asia, like Vietnam. We've touched the entire planet. When you go to Hawaii, we've touched the entire planet. And when you've touched the entire planet and you influence the entire planet, that means your plan is the best plan possible. It is not a violent plan. It's not a destructive plan. It's not a selfish plan. I've spoken in the past about scientific socialism. Socialism has become a profane word these days. But guess what? Socialism is nothing wrong with socialism. If you're one of the people who's, in my opinion, foolish enough to believe that socialism is bad, when you turn 65, or if you have elders in your family that's living off Social Security, that's socialism. If you're living off Medicare or Medicaid, that's socialism. Oh, it's not bad now. Is it? Oh, well, see, I earned it. No, well, shut up. I don't want to hear that. Because scientific socialism is a rising tide raises all boats. Some boats will be higher because they're big and strong, and other boats will be where their water meets its level, so to speak. But you'll rise. Nobody falls under the water in scientific socialism, because when you get $1 million, you reach back for somebody to get at a minimum 100,000. When you get 2 million, they get 200,000, and so forth and so on. So it will always be a tide raising, and it will always be people. It'll be potentially be people in front of you. But in scientific socialism, you don't let anybody drown, and that's what we need to go back to. I'm gonna talk to the brothers. I do this like every 4 or 5 months. Talk to the brothers, because brothers, we set the pace. If we set a terrific pace, then at that point, nobody can say, I didn't know, I wasn't told, this is not what I knew about. Because if I help my brothers and my cousins and my friends, and they help their brothers, cousins, and friends, we set a pace. There are certain standards that we must adhere to. We need to have communal standards. Violence. We need to reduce the violence. We need to reduce deadly violence, because violence is not going anywhere. You have a disagreement. Some people will get into physical altercations, but when we set a standard of, sometimes you may have to get your butt whipped. And I'm not saying whipping your kids and things of that nature. Sometimes it's violation and people come to blows, and it's a violent reaction to that altercation. And that's okay, because we don't have to destroy people. There have been disagreements and violent interactions on the continent since the beginning of time. We're not going to talk as if we've never had a conflict. Shaka Zulu is one of the greatest warriors in the history of the world. The Ashantis in North Africa, Shaka Zulu is South Africa, the Ashantis in North Africa, some of the greatest warriors in the world. But here's the beauty in their war games. One of the beautiful things that Shaka Zulu and interacted with anybody he had a conflict with, he gave them the ability to retreat. This also ties into the religious doctrine of love thy enemy. You can love thy enemy in the midst of a conflict, because I don't have to destroy you. I don't have to rape your woman. I don't have to burn your land. I don't have to salt your earth so you'll starve and die and no longer be able to produce. We had a conflict. You backed up out of the conflict. I gave you the ability to continue to be yourself. One of the reasons we have kente cloth is because the Ashanti had a conflict with a Tapestry tribe. They created the flag that was called Kenta cloth, and now it's called Kente cloth. They wove them into the community. This is why when you have this colonialized mentality of, well, black people sold other black people into slavery. No, they didn't. No, they did not. We did not sell our brothers and sisters into slavery. It's a class system. And when you have a class system, if you're the top warriors and then you're a second-class citizen and then you're a third-class citizen and so forth and so on, this is what happens. Instead of you being subservient to me, what you're going to be is a second-class citizen. And we take over another tribe, they'll be under you. And it's just a stair-step effect. So when I'm in the country of Ghana and we have a war with someone and with these fake borders and neighbors that were created by the colonizers, and they have a situation to whereas, hey, we're going to sell the people. I'm from Ghana. We're going to sell the Nigerians. because Nigerians are not Ghanaians. Would just like Greek people and Italian people have similarities, but they're not the same. Everyone has slaves, but the caste slave system is something totally different, stripping you of your identity, stripping you of everything that you can, and almost trying to make you subhuman and identifying you with subhumanism. That's the problem. Oh, well, Africans had slaves. Well, look in the Bible, they had slaves, but you know what? You only own that person. You didn't own their generation, their entire ancestry. You didn't own that. And that's what was happening here in the United States of America. So don't get it confused. And when we know these things, we'll be able to interact in a better situation. We must deprogram ourselves from the hatred, from the fear, from the deception, from the ability to stab a brother or a sister in the back. One of the things that was embedded into us, because when you embed something in the mind, it becomes a part of that person's DNA. And when it becomes a part of that person's DNA, you spread that to your children. And when you spread it to your children, they spread it to their children. It's this law called Meritos manumission. Because these are people who don't know each other, and they were interwoven into separate tribes, so you wouldn't be able to communicate besides the English, and then we can identify what the problems are and nip them in the bud per the property owners who first forced people enslavement, because they were not slave masters, because the people were not slave, they were enslaved, and they are not slaves. Slave is not an identity, that is a condition, but it's called Meritos manumission. Meritos manumission says you will earn your freedom in the event that you save a white person's life, create something that makes life for a white person easier, or snitch on a slave revolt. This creates the ability to not have unity, because who wants to, hey, are they about to escape? Let me get away. That's how you're thinking. And I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent, but it's the mentality, and you pass that mentality down, whether you want to believe it or not. If you don't believe it, simply, you use your phone for everything else, simply look into this thing called epigenetics. Epigenetics is a process in which you can be brainwashed generationally. So when you ask, why do we act like this? It's because it was embedded in us, and men pass it through their loins, and women, it is in those eggs. And then you have a super enslaved person mentally before they even show up. But we can beat those things, because, man, we can start communicating. Man, we can start uplifting. If I know something, I'm going to share with you, or you share with me. Oh, that's a utopian, euphoric idea. But you know what? Other communities around this world do the same thing. Don't believe everybody is in that war with themselves until you attack them, and then they galvanize and beat you up off of them. We can get there, and it's only going to start with the men teaching the boys how to be men, and women teaching the boys how to be gentlemen. Women teaching the boys, the young ladies, how to be women, and we'll help enforce being a lady, meaning how to conduct yourself, how you'll be perceived, and we can have open conversation, and we can fix that. Women, on the other hand, this is what we need to do. We need to do the exact same thing. If you know how to do something, we need to be preparing every young lady in this community to be the best young lady she could be on all aspects, whether it's academic, whether it's in the home, whether it's maternal, whether it's allowing someone the pain and anguish that you suffered. Don't put it onto your child. You want to take it off of your child and educate your child. It's nothing wrong with being exposed to poor decisions and your decisions running up in your face. That's not the crime. The crime is keeping that secret to yourself, because I don't want to share that pain. No, you share that pain because it will create a shield for that young lady. It will create a shield for that young man. No, they're not old enough. They're old enough. Children are some of the most intelligent beings in the history of the world. We dumb them down with our enforcing of ignorance. We dumb them down with our enforcing of ignorance. When we hide the truth from them, we don't learn more of the truth, and we don't share that truth. They suffer. They will continue to suffer in the event that we don't start doing this. These are just small tidbits of things that we can do to enhance our community, but these are things that need to be taught. Here's something else. Again, as the aforementioned country boy on One Mic History, I want you to watch this video. I'll be back shortly. I want you to understand we can do this. We have more power than the people who preceded us. And here's an example of the power that they had. And I'll be back shortly.
'13, 1862. The harbor is silent, shrouded in a pre-dawn mist. You witness a steamer quietly slip away from the harbor, but this is no ordinary departure, but a secret endeavor. At the helm is a skilled, resourceful enslaved man leading a crew of fellow enslaved individuals. Their objective? To navigate through the heavily guarded Confederate checkpoints and into open waters. So join us today while we unravel the captivating story behind the incredible life of Robert Smalls. And if you like stories like this, you can find more stories like this at onemichistory.com. And if you like audio only episodes, you can find them wherever you get your podcasts. But without further ado, let's get started. To truly understand this tale, it is essential to grasp the historical backdrop against which this remarkable story unfolds. The Civil War spanned from around 1861 to 1865, and it is a tumultuous period in United States history, marked by profound social and political upheaval. At the heart of this conflict was a contentious issue of slavery, a deeply entrenched institution that Southern states heavily relied on for their economic prosperity and way of life. The Southern states' sprawling plantations and agricultural economy were fueled by enslaved African Americans whose labor was indispensable to wealthy landowners. In this backdrop, Robert Smalls was born into slavery April 5th, 1839 in Beaufort, South Carolina, a place that was deeply connected to the institution of slavery. His mother, Lydia Polite, was also enslaved and tended to the fields. His father was unknown, but some think that it was Aaron McKee, the plantation owner, or his son, John McKee, or the plantation manager, Robert Smalls. But despite these familial connections, Robert would receive little special treatment. As a child, Robert lived in a small cabin behind McKee House on 511 Prince Street. And initially, he was somewhat favored by the McKee family. However, his mother worried that he would not truly understand the harsh realities of slavery. So to help him grasp this, Lydia exposed Robert to the difficulties of enslaved field life, having him work alongside them and witness their punishments like whippings. This experiment stirred a sense of defiance in Robert, often leading to trouble and imprisonment. Concerned for his well-being, Lydia sent him to Charleston at the age of 12 to work as a laborer. In Charleston, Robert Smalls took various jobs, starting as a waiter at a hotel, later becoming a lamplighter. His love for the sea soon drew him to work on docks and wharfs as a longshoreman, a rigger, and a sailmaker. Eventually, he became a wheelman, a role that allowed him to gain extensive knowledge of Charleston's harbor. Although enslaved individuals were not permitted to hold the title of helmsman, Smalls was allowed to keep around.
Now, as you see, that was affirmation of what I said. And I didn't even watch the entire video to get to that portion. And it shows you in the 1800s, an enslaved young man who was the father was the plantation owner and his mother was raped by the enslaver. He took on the ability to learn how to do things that he shouldn't have been able to do. And his mother shared with him the capacity in which she was being enslaved and the oppression that she was facing. This inspired him to do better. That's exactly what I was talking about. Men and women of this community, we need to share the pain that our ancestors and our fifth time back ancestors endure. That way our children will understand this is why you perceive me being tough on you, but this is so your great-grandchildren's great-grandchildren will never suffer the same fate. This is why you see movies like Oppenheimer and Schindler's List. And this is why the United States of America looks at 9/11 and say, never again. We need to start inducing the pain, withdrawing the pain from our children and exposing them to it and letting them see why you had this pain. When you see why and you see what it is and you know how it got there, you'll do everything you can to prevent that pain and anguish to return to you, and you will only strive for greatness. At that point, you'll never look at a C as, well, I passed the class. No, you will go into every class understanding you must master everything that they teach you, as well as enhancing yourself with the things they didn't teach you about yourself. So did at that point, you become a superhuman individual. Young people, last but not least, young people, this is what I need you to do. I need you to ask questions. When you're confused, identify your confusion and face the people who are rearing you and ask them, why are you not telling me this? I learned this. I saw this on TikTok. I heard about this. Either A, why don't you know this? And B, and most importantly, why are we not studying this together so you won't have to suffer anymore and I will never face the anguish that our ancestors faced? It's not a one-way street. Well, why don't you know? Because you know what? We've been brainwashed to the point that people my age and older, we don't know a lot of these things. So to inspire us, you will inspire us to learn more, to pour into you more, to make you a better human being. And once you become the best human being you can be, you become unstoppable, because you have the Robert Smalls and you have the OC Girlies, and you have the people throughout history who have uplifted us, again, made it so a rising tide lifts all boats. And then and only then we will become the prosperous community that we know we can be. We need to start living up to our capabilities and living up to the capabilities and assuming the possibilities that are in front of us. We can no longer allow ourselves to be employees. We must be captains of industry. We must be creators of industry, and we must be the repairers of industry in the event that that's not your deal. There's nothing wrong with having a job, but make the job your last option. With that being said, y'all know what tomorrow is. Tomorrow is Black Friday, in which I do my best to introduce you to Black entities in which we can continue to make that dollar circulate, so we continue to build industry in ourselves. And once you see person A become a millionaire and person C become a millionaire and person L become a millionaire, understand you might be LMNO, PQR, or S. Nobody wants to be Z, but A. Even Z becomes a millionaire when you are doing this the right way. Thank you for tapping in. I need you to hit that like. I need you to hit that share. I need you to hit that subscribe. And I'll see you in about 24 hours. 2 fingers, 1 word. I never say the word, but I.
And it is necessary for those people who rule over us and who rule over African people the world over, if those people are to stay in power, they must destroy our ability to love each other in a healthy sort of way. This is why